Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home, and today we're going to be talking about deadheading flowers. Very important to keeping your color going in your garden throughout the summer. So I hope you join us. You know, we're in mid-July, and this time of year we have so many things blooming and kind of coming into their peak. It's very important this time of year, when everything seems to be in bloom, that you don't let them get to the point where they're forming seed heads instead of just continuing to bloom. So I thought I'd take you around the garden and show you how I deadhead different types of flowers. This calendula here makes a very beautiful flower, and if you don't deadhead it, then it starts looking like this. And this is not the kind of plant that is attractive. And I want more flowers throughout the whole season, so I'm going to deadhead. And the way that I do this is if you see this stem, here you had what was the first bloom, okay, and it's dead. And then you have the second bloom, and now you have one that's still blooming. And then over here you've got a little bud. So the key is when you're deadheading is you want to get rid of the dead stuff, but you want to leave what's blooming and what's going to bud. So you cut it right there. This one seems to have spent a lot already. We've got one live one, we've got one bud, and we've got two dead ones. And this will just encourage the growth and keep them blooming. And if you keep on top of it, instead of waiting as long as I did, you really will have more flowers. Last year, I loved borage. This year, I'm not loving it. It's kind of a mess. Oh, I just broke that off. Well, it's not kind of a mess, it is a mess. So this, as you can see, is pretty spent blooms. This is deadheaded. But I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it in such a way that I hope, instead of growing vertically so high, it'll expand out and stay lower to the ground. So let's see if that's going to work. I'm going to take off a big piece of this stem right above a node where I'm seeing new growth, and hopefully that'll grow back, because if not, I'm just going to pull it. Last year, well, that's not looking very attractive, but I need the airflow by the tomatoes. Are very similar to the calendula I just showed you, but you have to be careful with petunias because sometimes a bud looks very similar as a dead flower. And the thing is, a lot of people, when they prune petunias, they pull the flower off and they leave the stem in place. And the problem with that is they're still going to try to form a seed there. So you really need to clip these right underneath. Let me see if I can show you better. You really need to clip these underneath the green part of the stem. Wish I knew what that was called. And I sat down for this because although I do like deadheading, I find it very calming. It's meditative to me. I also don't want to have to stand the entire time I'm doing it. So Oh, what do I got here? Got a volunteer or something. I might leave that and see what it is. So for petunias, when you have a long stem like this that you just hadn't been deadheading, so you have a lot of spent buds, but also where new seeds are trying to form, it's best to just sacrifice the one bud you've got on this stem and take it all the way down to where you see a new bunch of growth is forming. So for this one, I'm going to cut it right here, and I'm going to take this spent one off too, and then new growth will form right along here. Like you can see in this long one that I hadn't deadheaded at all, there's a whole bunch of new growth trying to form right here, and you'll aid that along if you just cut it right there. Sorry, fella. Roses are a little bit different because their growth pattern is that they get new shoots for buds out of a leaf node that has 5 leaves, not 3, which you'll find sometimes towards the top. So what you want to do when you're deadheading roses, and this one, I'm not going to deadhead this branch completely because it's a multi-budded branch. But when I go to deadhead this, once this little guy is done, I'm going to come to, not this one because it already has a stem coming out of it, all right? So does this one. I'm going to come down here. And as you can see, it's got a little node right there, and I'm going to cut there, and that's where the new growth is going to shoot up. But I'm not going to do that now because this is blooming so pretty. So in this dead one, this has 3 leaves. That's not where I'm going to cut it. This has 5 leaves, but it already had the bud come out of it. So I'm going to go down to here, where I see new growth coming out. These are cut and come again zinnias, which simply means once you cut them, they'll continue to grow. But when I do pick them, I look for where the new growth is coming out because these will be new flowers. So I cut right here. Oops. Oh, so pretty. As you can see, the cosmos needs deadheading as well. I've got new buds, but if I got rid of these, it would encourage the growth faster. Pansies too. And then the sweet peas. I may have waited too long to deadhead because you see these pods that are forming, those are seed pods for them, which are not edible, but I don't have much flowering going on. I've never grown these before. It could be because of the heat, but I really tend to think that it's because I didn't deadhead them when I should have. So I'm going to, with these, I'm going to deadhead the entire stem. And hopefully, where these shoots are, I'll get more flowers a little bit later on in the season. Just quickly about the lavender, I did not harvest most of it this year. I harvested from underneath here to kind of clear out and air out this bed underneath it. But when I go to pick lavender, I cut right above, you see that Y, because I should get a second flush. Oh, hello, Mr. B. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. This lobelia looks like it's starting to peter out, and I'm going to remove, and this is actually pretty easy. You don't need clippers for this. I'm just going to remove a lot of this dead spent growth and leave behind where some green is growing. This one, as you can see, is really dried up and dead. But there is green growth underneath there, so hopefully by doing this, it'll give it a flush in another couple of weeks. Of course, what I do is I don't generally try to wait till something is already dead and trying to form a seed before I deadhead it. I actually like to cut fresh flowers and bring them inside the house to make a bouquet. It's up to you, but it really is a good idea to keep deadheading if you want to have continuous color throughout the summer months. I hope you enjoyed this video, which was the third in the series of our summer gardening tips series. And if you did, please give it a like. It's a blue jay, very loud bird. Okay, I'm on camera, all right? Lady is upstairs right now waiting for her dinner, so I have to sign off and go feed her. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and I hope you subscribe so you can catch our other videos coming out this summer. And from the Ladies Garden and Home and a very noisy blue jay, enjoy your gardening journey. Bye! Say goodbye, Lady. Lady says goodbye.